Welcome to the Fox 54 Weekend Review. I'm Kenesha Dees. It's the only place in North Alabama to get the week's local headlines condensed into one program. Here's a taste of what's ahead. Our top story this week: severe weather hit the Tennessee Valley on Tuesday, spawning at least 9 tornadoes and leaving trees down, power out, and homes damaged. Now people are figuring out what's next. A Madison County neighborhood picking up the pieces 24 hours after an EF2 tornado ripped through town. It's where we start. I'm Kenesha Dees. This is what part of Killingsworth Cove, just north of Gurley, looked like after a tornado blew through with 134-mile-per-hour winds, demolishing everything in its path. Just look at that damage. Fox 54's Gabe Glassman takes us there, where he talked to a family assessing what they've lost, but grateful it wasn't worse.
60 years of memories gone in just 60 seconds. That's how the family of this home describes their feeling as they continue to recover whatever memories they can of their childhood home. This is what remains of a lifetime of making this house their home.
Just numb. I mean, it's hard to explain, you know, and I've experienced loss before, but just coming back home to where, you know, we moved here when I was 2 years old, and then just seeing the devastation.
The homeowner was picked up by a nearby family member and made it safely in another home down the road just moments before the winds broke through the windows.
They got inside his basement, and she sat down and all of the windows blew out of his house.
Throughout the day, Glennis, the homeowner's daughter, and her family have been salvaging any memories they can from the rubble.
We haven't stopped. We're just trying to dig through and find some of the sentimental things. We found Mom and Daddy's wedding pictures. There's no duplicates of these, and so, like I say, brick and mortar can be replaced, but it's things like this that want to take care of these.
But no matter what can be preserved and what is lost, Glennis says she's most thankful everyone made it out safely.
Thank God for wrapping his arms around my family and keeping them safe.
Several people have stopped by throughout the day offering any assistance they can to help. From Killingsworth Cove in Madison County, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
Yes, very thankful they're alive, and of course salvaging those memories. We've learned some people have been cleaning up in Killingsworth Cove since 4 in the morning. Montesano was also hit by heavy wind, and the storm damage was intense last night. Residents described the scene. All the damage was done in 5 to 10 minutes. Dozens of trees down on the mountain, falling on homes, cars, and power lines. 3 homes were destroyed by the falling trees. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo takes us to Montesano to show the extent of that damage.
I've been hearing the same stories across much of Montesano. Wind damage, trees falling on houses, and the power out. All that storm damage caused Montesano Elementary School to close on its last day of classes. Here's what one resident said about the impact to her family.
Lots of elder trees have been pulled right out of the ground, you know, tipped over, root balls exposed. Some have been snapped off, and there's some houses that have been really damaged. I know our guest house and our greenhouse are damaged, and our shed here is damaged as well. But we feel very lucky because nothing fell in our house.
And other residents, some of whom opted not to go on camera, described their own situations last night.
I had told my family at the time that I don't think that this is just wind, that we needed to take shelter. So we got up, started to head towards our basement. And when we got up to head towards the basement, it's you couldn't see anything outside at all. I could see trees bending, and, you know, like the bushes and stuff were just absolutely going crazy. I would say within 5 minutes, everything was already gone.
We thought the worst of it was through. Actually came upstairs out of the basement, and it was not. That's when either straight line winds or small tornado, we're not sure which, pushed through and took down all the trees in the backyard and did some damage to the property, and we're just kind of recovering now.
Of the damage, one family says 3 homes were total losses. That family scrambling to find shelter as trees fell through their roof in the middle of the storm. One anonymous man tells us the priority now is taking care of them.
The first thing was to get my eyes on my family and make sure they're in a safe place. And then today really just let them kind of decompress and focus on, what is the most essential thing that they need to get their hands on right now to take care of their newborn. And then we can focus on rebuilding things.
The family is hosting a GoFundMe to get the essentials while they look for a new home and get what they can out of their house. You can find a link there on our website, FOX54.com. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
Many of the houses on Montesano had no power all night, and for most of the morning, utilities crews have been working since last night to restore that power, but there's currently no set timeline for when it might be finished. It has been a rough stretch of weather in Athens. After dealing with a tornado back in December, the city got hit again last night, this time with heavy rain, flooding, and power outages. As our Fox 54 Ken McCoy tells us, Mayor Ronnie Marks says it's been a tough few months, but the community and city crews are stepping up once again.
It's a tough time, tough situation. Got hit on December 28th with a tornado downtown Athens. And then last night, the warnings started coming in. You could see them. After what had happened in Kentucky, you could kind of feel it. If you grow up here in North Alabama, you kind of feel that storm, and then the supercells started coming. And sure enough, about 5:30 last night, we got hammered and we got hit with heavy rains and then some straight winds. And I don't know that there was a confirmed tornado. I'd had reports of about 2.5 to 3 inches fell in probably less than 2 hours. Our guys waited for the very intense lightning strikes to kind of move through, and then we hit the ground and we started running and we started restoring power. We had about 15,000 out of power initially. We've got that down to about 2,700. Most of it is isolated in the Lucas Ferry Road area and Browns Ferry Road that's on the west side of Athens, and you learn to be ready and be on standby. Our street department clearing trees, these guys and ladies, they hit the ground. All the way from public relations to us trying to keep people informed, to the school system opening the storm shelter, and just the availability of folks. It's really, I don't mean to say it's what we do, but it's what we do. And when crisis hits, we step up. I know there's a lot of damage. There's some areas that, particularly with the floodwaters, that need to be looked at, and we will absolutely do that. I know the Vestavia, there's around Athens State with some areas. There's a Strain Road area that, thank goodness, we're getting some state relief money to try to help out in there. A lot of drainage issues, and we got to keep working, and we will.
Mayor Marks says this kind of response has become second nature for the city, and while the cleanup isn't over yet, he's proud of how quickly everyone jumped into action to help their neighbors. If you do have damage to repair, make sure you don't get scammed. We talked to some experts on how you can protect yourself. Homeowners across the city of Madison are beginning to pick up the pieces after recent storms swept through the area. But as repairs get underway, city officials are urging caution when hiring help. Some of you may be tempted to jump on the first offer you get, but the city of Madison says a quick fix could lead to bigger problems if you don't do your due diligence. Our Ken McCoy has more with the local contractor who says the more experience, the better.
After a storm, getting things back to normal feels urgent. But Madison's building department says now is the time to be cautious, not careless, when choosing a contractor.
Understandably, they're going to be a little bit nervous and upset with what's going on, but just make sure that they're doing their due diligence to make sure they're hiring licensed contractors to keep from having to deal with the shortfalls of hiring an unlicensed contractor.
Those shortfalls can include poor work, unfinished jobs, and no accountability, especially when money changes hands too early.
The unlicensed contractor, he'll generally come out and try to progress with going forward with the work, even when they show up for the site, not signing a contract with you and just presenting you to have the funds pretty much available for full payment even before they start work.
So what should you do first? First, file your insurance claim, then start the search for a contractor. But make sure they're legit.
The first thing that you're going to want to do, especially if you have insurance, is to start that insurance claims process. The very next step that you're going to want to do is start finding a contractor.
And be wary of people showing up uninvited.
You're going to want to make sure the very first thing that you're looking for is for a local contractor and a reputable contractor. You want to be the one choosing your contractor, not them coming and trying to choose you.
Just because someone says they can do the work doesn't mean they're qualified.
The very first questions that you're going to want to ask is, are you actually licensed to do this kind of work? And also, are you licensed to do it in my area?
Butner says experience matters just as much as paperwork because storm damage brings a different type of pressure.
Experience goes a long way in this kind of work. That can be one of the most tragic and traumatic things that you ever go through. So if you go down that path with somebody that's never done that before, then it's just going to take your stress through the roof. So you're going to want to go down that path with somebody that's been down that path before.
The city of Madison has online tools to help verify licenses and report concerns. Officials say asking questions up front is the biggest way to avoid bigger problems later. In Madison, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Butner also shares that when filing your insurance claims, a big green flag in finding a contractor is if the insurance company can vet their work. And some big announcements from Decatur. The city council set down new rules for public comment, and 3 familiar faces made announcements about their futures. Decatur City Council making some controversial changes to their meetings moving forward, namely to the council work sessions and public comment. We've learned they just resumed those public comments today after a 2-week hiatus because of what they're calling, quote, disruptions and profanities at one of last month's meetings, which resulted in 6 arrests. Local activists still looking for transparency and accountability in the death of Steve Perkins and John Scott Jr. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo takes us to City Hall to show us what's new.
The biggest item out of Decatur City Council this morning, no more public comments at work sessions. The announcement comes just 2 weeks after the council decided to suspend public comments due to demonstrations that led to the arrests of several people. Now, city council members tell Fox 54 about that decision.
I couldn't find anyone that allowed comments at work sessions. Huntsville doesn't even have regularly scheduled work sessions, but when they do, there's no public comment period. It's really just an open meeting where the council works with city employees to work on specific issues, and that's really what the work sessions should be. We will still have the same structure at city council meetings where we allow agenda-related comments and then general comments at the end.
Ladner did say it's necessary for the council to speak with people in the community, but he doesn't want interruptions to get in the way of the council's meetings with city employees and the public at large.
We don't want to end it altogether. I think it's important, as you saw with the last speaker today, I think had an issue that she needed information on, and we want to make sure we provide that information. So that's kind of where we've landed.
City Councilman Billy Jackson says he agrees. Interruptions shouldn't get in the way, but he adds that restricting public comments is a dangerous road to travel if you want an open dialogue with your constituents.
I don't disagree with Jacob on that, in the fact that we have to have control of the meeting, that things have to be civil, but I do think that we always have to listen to our public. They're not always going to be on our side. And with that, that's just part of the responsibility that we hold. I'm disappointed that we're going to marginalize our public comment.
Regardless to if you continue public comment or if you end it, you will not be able to silence us.
As for future meetings, Ladner says regular city council meetings will still have public comments. In addition, you can schedule a chat with the individual council members to raise your concerns outside of a work session or council meeting. In Decatur, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
The Decatur City Council cited the state's Open Meetings Act. Citizens have legal access to meetings with governmental bodies, but they are not required a chance to speak. Longtime Decatur City Councilman Billy Jackson has announced his run for mayor. Jackson has served on the City Council since 1996, representing District 5. This announcement comes after Jackson and Mayor Tab Bowling came at odds last week after Jackson claimed a Decatur police officer misrepresented himself to another department in order to get information about the new police chief, Tory Mack. Bowling denied these claims, saying the officer did make the call but did not claim to be with HR. Bowling has already announced that he will not be seeking re-election. We asked Jackson what his plans are for the city if he were to become mayor. Here's what he had to say.
We're a divided city right now. And that might be one of the biggest challenges that we've got to deal with. But we got to also form better relationships with our surrounding communities, such as Huntsville and Athens and Madison, because we're like a four-legged stool. And you can take away one of those legs, and each of those communities, that stool can continue to stand. But if you have all four legs on that stool, then it's a stronger piece of furniture. So that's kind of how we are. And so I think that we've got to form better relationships with Huntsville. We've got to form better relationships with Athens and with Madison.
It's still too early, we should note, for any candidate to file their paperwork in Decatur. Qualifying for this year's municipal election takes place in June. Voters will then head to the polls in late August, and the runoff election, as needed, will take place 4 weeks later in late September. Open positions include mayor, city council, and seats on the school board. Just days after Decatur City Council member Billy Jackson announced his run for mayor, a familiar face throws their hat in the ring for his seat. Terrence Atkins, co-founder of Standing in Power, which was created after the killing of Steve Perkins, announced today he will be running for the District 1 seat. Atkins ran for city council in 2020, making this his second run for a city council seat.
One of my main focuses will be revitalizing of Bolton, Vine Street. Those were both economic corridors for the Black citizens in Decatur. I'll be looking to bring some businesses and some housing projects that can strive here. Governmental oversight is a part of my campaign and my tenure as a city councilman, because it seems like we don't know what the council is doing most of the time, and we need something either from Decatur Daily or each section.
Atkins was one of the 6 arrested at last month's council meeting after protests broke out during public comment. More change in leadership coming to Decatur, where City Council President Jacob Ladner announced he will not seek re-election in August after 5 years representing District 5. In a statement, Ladner said the decision came after much thought and prayerful consideration. He expressed gratitude for the opportunity to lead the city through significant growth and challenges, telling us, quote, "I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished together and grateful for the trust you place in me," end quote. The council president will serve the remainder of his term through August, and he's excited to see through several initiatives before his departure. The move means Decatur will have a new mayor, police chief, and council president within a span of a few months. Current Mayor Tab Bowling also decided against a re-election effort. City's next police chief, Tory Mack, seen here in the center panel, starts June 2nd. Tragedy touched 3 families this week in different ways. A teen killed in a car wreck, the case of a missing Florence woman, and a death possibly tied to domestic abuse. Here are the stories. Information coming out about a deadly crash over the weekend that claimed the life of a Priceville teen. It happened just after 9 p.m. Saturday night near the intersection of Beltline Road and Westmead Street. Before emergency responders arrived, multiple Good Samaritans stopped to attempt to rescue the young girl trapped in a car that was on fire. During their efforts, that car exploded, seriously injuring one of the civilians, we're told. They were airlifted to UAB for severe burns. When the first responders arrived, the teen, now identified as Chloe Hastings, was pronounced dead. The driver of the other car, Kevin Pinich, was arrested for driving under the influence after the crash. Pinich has now been charged with murder and is being held in Morgan County Jail on a $250,000 bond. And now the Priceville community in mourning after Chloe's death. Friends and classmates at Priceville High School returned for their final days of the school year with Chloe and her family in their thoughts. Her church held a gathering on Sunday in remembrance with counselors available both there and at the high school for those needing to talk to someone. And a Fox 54 exclusive, we hear from some of Chloe's teammates from Priceville High School softball team about what Chloe's friendship meant to them.
Chloe was one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. She was one of the happiest, she was the most amazing person I've ever met, honestly. She would give you the shirt off her back, honestly. And she gave the best back massages ever. She would just come up behind me in the dugout and give me back massage just for fun. She was the best. And we love you, Chloe.
She loved everybody. She had a very bubbly personality. She loved bright colors. She was the bright light in your life. She would always be. Even if she was having a bad day, she was there for you. Even if you were at even if she was at a worse spot than you were. She loved us all.
Chloe was always there for everybody and was always a bright, shining light. She was always nice to everybody, and she never disliked anybody at all. She was always loving, and she never was rude to you, even if you were rude to her. She was always someone that you could talk to if something was wrong.
Her teammates will Priceville High School cheer posted on Facebook, quote, "Sweet Chloe, your beautiful smile and kind spirit will forever be missed at PHS and by the Priceville community. Friday Night Lights will not be the same without you on the sideline." Well, late breaking tonight, a tragic end to the search for a missing Florence woman. Police tell us they found human remains this afternoon at a home they were searching as part of that investigation. This is video from our crew shortly before the discovery was made. It's on the 2200 block of Northwood Avenue. It's where police took Logan Rogers into custody hours earlier, charging him at the time with the attempted murder of Autumn Strickland. At a press conference, FPD said they believed Strickland was intentionally struck by a car, and when the press conference took place, she was still missing. A forensic lab has yet to confirm the identity of the remains officially. As for Rogers, he's being held at the Lauderdale County Jail pending a court appearance later this week. A deadly shooting in Madison County is now classified as a homicide, and the victim's husband faces murder charges. We've learned deputies responded to a 911 call around 10:30 last night at a home in the 200 block of Step Court. They found the victim suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Madison County Sheriff's officials have arrested 64-year-old Gary Wharton in connection with the shooting. Wharton is now facing a murder charge and has been booked in the Madison County Jail. And Fox 54 has learned that shooting came just hours after the victim filed an electronic summons in a divorce case she initiated earlier this month. Sherry Knudsen was seeking to end their 24-year marriage, citing a breakdown triggered by her husband's alleged abandonment. The summons, you see it there, was sent Sunday afternoon about 9 hours before Knudsen was shot. Fox 54 reached out to her attorney, Scott Rogers, who tells us his client was, quote, a kind, gentle, intelligent, and resilient woman caught up in an increasingly dangerous relationship with her husband, one that involved behavior that grew more erratic and threatening over time, with Wharton allegedly placing a dead rat under his wife's pillow. The divorce filing, he tells us, aligned with her decision to leave the state for a new life in Oregon. But we know now that didn't happen.
Sherry Knudsen had endured years of abuse. Her attorney says she was finally taking steps to protect herself, doing everything she could to survive. In their final conversation, he urged her to trust her instincts and leave if she felt unsafe. He told Fox 54, quote, "She understood and it was clear she was trying to take steps to protect herself. But even with those steps, the danger never disappeared and tragically, it turned deadly." Experts say the point Knudsen reached can be the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship, the moment someone decides to leave.
If you're in a domestic violence relationship and you reside and live with the person, or that person has easy access to, your first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're in a safe place. Reach out and call to get resources, to get information, so that they can have someone to help them make a safety plan.
Advocates say victims often wrestle with fear and doubt. Many leave and return several times before they feel ready to break free for good.
Most victims of domestic violence will leave a total of 7 times before they finally leave for good. They want to plan out every step of it down to, I want to go ahead and get the apartment. I want to file for the divorce. But the reality of it is that domestic violence doesn't have a face associated to it.
It's why legal experts say it's critical to start documenting signs of abuse early, long before the courts get involved.
The first steps that I would suggest someone take is begin documenting dates, locations, events, anything of that nature, so that later on, if we need to pull from that information to prove anything in court, we'll have it ready to go. The protection order itself can allow the courts to exclude the abuser from the home. Additionally, if you're in subsidized or public housing, the Violence Against Women Act will help the Public Housing Authority to relocate you.
Advocates say safety planning, support, and timing all matter, but so does rebuilding trust.
There's always going to be that level of fear and trust, because that's one of the biggest things that has broke in that relationship is your trust. So that level of trust is hard to build, especially with a complete stranger.
If you or someone you know needs help, call Crisis Services of North Alabama at 256-716-1000. In Huntsville, Kim McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Ronald Dumas Jr. has been missing since December. And on Saturday last week, his father spoke with FOX54 about how he's feeling all these months later.
It's hard to imagine what a family goes through when their loved one is missing. Ronald Dumas Jr. has been missing for months, and now his father is opening up, sharing his pain, his hopes, and his pleas for answers. Ronald Dumas Jr. was last seen back in December. His car turned up in Tennessee, but there's been no sign of him since. 2 people are in custody in connection, but his family still has no real answers. His father, Ronald Dumas Sr., says he thinks about his son every day and just wants him found.
I am despondent. My son was taken. I don't know why. I don't have no answers for that yet. It hurts me every day. Every day I think about it. I wish he is, well, I hope he's somewhere. I hope his health is good. I hope he's not being mistreated in some kind of way. I want the 2 people that they have captured to be questioned severely, and give up some information about the whereabouts of my son. And I want my son found.
One of the 5 suspects in the disappearance of Dumas Jr. was scheduled to make her first court appearance yesterday, but it didn't happen for the second time. Friday's hearing for Kira Clark, one of the 2 people arrested in connection to Ronald Dumas Jr.'s disappearance, was postponed again. Clark, charged earlier this month with conspiracy to commit kidnapping, had her court date rescheduled to June 24th.
And let's wrap up this week with some heroes on the block. Huntsville's first responders hosted a block party to wrap up Police Week, giving residents a chance to have some fun on a beautiful Saturday.
Today's Huntsville's first responders brought the party to the neighborhood with food, music, games, and even a petting zoo. Heroes on the block. The community had a blast and enjoyed every moment of the fun-filled day and getting to hang out with local heroes.
We've had a wonderful time out here today, being around the police officers and the firemen, just thanking our heroes for the day.
I had a really great time here.
This was extraordinary because I'm from New Orleans, and coming all the way from New Orleans to Alabama, I ain't know, they're not a thought of event like this, so I'm happy they came together for the community.
The band, the food, seeing the different community, the different people in the community.
I've enjoyed today. I've seen all races come together and have a good time in this park.
It's just so lively, like everything's good, like the energy, the food.
I watched the bands play, food was delicious.
Me and my family, we had so much fun coming out here. It was a fun, free event. It had a lot of different booths and different pop-up shops. We also won our brother a free bike. It's pretty cool.
I want to say thank you. This was very fun for all of us.
Really just being able to, like I said, connect with the community. Just being able to meet new people, talk to people, have fun with friends and stuff.
I had very fun bringing my nieces with my family. We had a lot of fun.
I had super fun.
It was so fun, thanks to the police officers and firefighters and everything.
What was your favorite part?
The water slide.
We appreciate the Huntsville Fire Department and Huntsville Police Department for all they do for the Huntsville community.
All right, this was the first time the Huntsville Fire and Rescue took part in the festivities. Both agencies say that getting to know the community outside of crisis helps build a better relationship.
The top Army official for the United States made a stop in the Rocket City earlier today. U.S. Secretary of the Army Daniel Driscoll made his first visit to Redstone Arsenal since being sworn into the position. Fox 54's Gabe Glassman explains how Secretary Driscoll believes the arsenal can play a huge role in the future of the Army.
Obviously, him making this a priority within his first, 90 days?
Within the first 90.
Obviously shows the importance of Redstone and the work that we do.
Army Secretary Dan Driscoll was impressed after his first visit to Redstone Arsenal since his confirmation at the end of February.
The size and scale of it is unbelievable. I just didn't appreciate how much was going on. The science and the PhDs and just the absolute talent that is down here. Like, I think most Americans should know about this place because it is a gem.
Driscoll talked about the Army Transformation Initiative signed weeks ago by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. It includes bringing new tech to the Army, along with restructuring command centers across the country. Driscoll believes it's one of the biggest changes the military branch has seen in a long time.
We have come up with the operating orders with General Mohan and his colleagues and are starting to push it down to the formations to figure out what exactly will this mean for different areas like Redstone. I am incredibly optimistic that with the talent and the resources and just the sense of innovation that you have in this area that you may see growth, but I'm not sure yet.
During his visit today, United States Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll talked a lot about the future plans for the Army and how Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville plays a role in that.
I think that this could be an amazing place for one of the things that General George, our four-star in charge of the Army, and I talk about all the time is where can we go out and get the best practices from the commercial sector and apply them? Where can we innovate? How can we start to flex that muscle of partnership to see how we can make soldiers' lives better? And I think after being here, this makes for a very natural place to experiment with them.
Driscoll also mentioned some of the work coming out of the Rapid Capabilities and Critical Technologies Office, which speeds up delivering combat needs, could be implemented in the coming months. From Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
Well, count on Fox 54 Plus to bring you more great programming with in-depth local specials, locked on sports, true crime, cooking shows, wellness experts, and continuing weather coverage. For everyone at Fox 54 News, I'm Kenesha Dees. Have a fun and safe weekend.